It's Thursday, which means one thing. It's time for our friend from Pulso Sports, El Rolo and W, Niko Moreno, and his coffee. Cup one or cup two right now, sir?
This is actually Cup One. It's been a bit of a slow morning for me, which I am very happy for. I don't get many Thursdays like this. The little one or the smallest one out of my kid is with my sister, so it's been a rather relaxful morning.
All right. So we'll see if we can dial it up to 11 here with a couple of the topics that I've got this morning. And one of the ones that I wanted to get into you about has to do with all of the activity since the secondary window is now officially open, and we can see player movement, and so and so's going here, and we'll talk about one guy in particular coming up in just a little bit. But it was a question that came up, and it was addressed to Tommy Scoops, and so I wanted to ask it to you. If an MLS team gets Jesse Lingard and Toronto lands Bernadeschi, would this be the most high-profile / biggest year in MLS history if you go by the amount of international stars that were signed and already exist in Major League Soccer? What say you, Niko Moreno?
I would say that it is. I think that from the profile to the relevance and age, which always goes with potential, I think that yes, there's no doubt about it in my mind that I don't want to call it an MLS 3.5, but perhaps it is, right? I mean, uh, we have seen so many changes in such a variety of both talent level, um, age, and it no longer is a year where teams are getting out the wallet and burning all the dollars and just going way out of their
Your Toronto FC or LAFC, yeah.
right. No, of course, but of course you got your big deal signings. But what I mean was that um, I like the ability of LAFC as much as things. I'm still not in the here's the super team and is it the best 11 ever in MLS? Like I'm not there. But what I do like though is that if you are going to bring someone who has a profile name and perhaps just not the current form and perhaps the relevance. That you do bring him for not a DP level, so because there's been so many different ways to bring players here. Because I'm still of the notion, regardless of any name that you see, that Cucho Hernandez is going to be one of the most impactfuls. I do believe that this is a new era of MLS talent, and that it is different, and that perhaps it is the best collection of names and soccer level profile players. So yeah, I would definitely agree with that.
Insigne, Bale, Criscito, Ache Ache, Shaq, Chiellini, Almada, Cucho,
Mm.
Velasco, Torres. Have I missed anybody? I mean, that's
Uh,
a long list, man.
that is a very long list. No, none of the high profile. You got Mosquera. They'll be coming in to Atlanta and things like that. But no, I think of all the big names, you definitely got them. And Insigne. Uh, I was telling my kid just the other day, because he's been giving me crap about how much I've been not against, but how much uh, holes I'm poking at the whole LAFC. We are the best team ever. He's heard me on a couple of shows, both in English and Spanish, and what I still need to see from Giorgio Cellini, and my doubts about Gary Bale. And he's like, "So what about Insigne?" I was like, "Well, that's a total different ball game. You're talking about a guy that's still in his prime, that is coming from what I think is a top level league. I love Serie A. that is still a national team player. It's just in a whole different level. The Insigne and Bell, I just don't have in the exact same canister. It's just I don't. So because of that, I think Insigne has a lot more expectations. Now this whole Toronto thing, I kind of saw coming Pozuelo not staying just because I feel like Insigne and Pozuelo and kind of what you saw out of Toronto was not quite a fit. And now we will see how Insigne is going to take over being the man up in Toronto. So yeah, it'll just be interesting. But I agree with everything that you're saying, and that this MLS year is unlike anything we've ever seen before.
So since you've mentioned Alejandro Pozuelo, let's go ahead and go there. It's officially official. Pozuelo to enter Miami for 150,000 in GAM plus add-ons. This to me reinforces Chris Henderson as executive of the year in Major League.
Yeah, look, I mean, I've been telling you about Garth, and this has Garth written all over it. You keeping tabs on a guy that can amplify everything that you currently have with Inter Miami. I have been seeing a more cohesive team, a team that could use another creative player on the midfield, because you cannot win games just with disruptors. At center midfield, you have a killer, an outstanding nine, rare to find. You have speed that perhaps you're not even using right now, that you're bringing off the benches in Emerson Rodriguez. You just have a couple of components that just perhaps needed something else. I like what I'm seeing out of Vessel of lately. Perhaps even now Gonzalo becomes a more rotated piece, and someone that you can bring in late in the game, or maybe you change up the lineup and you play with Higuain and with Leonardo Campana up top, and now you play with a full 10, and just there's so many different things that you can do now with Alejandro Pozuelo that you are gonna get an Inter Miami team that could maybe be a contender in the East. And I do say maybe just because there are still some holes, but I think it's a home run. It's an absolute home run. You're getting one of the most talented players in this league, one that sees the field different, one that puts a lot of key passes, something that they don't have at this current moment. He could push guys through. He could help spread out your team better. So he could also become one of the players that helps you out with some goal scoring in the collective manner. Look at this team. That's something that you're going to need. So I just think it's an absolute home run. And for the amount of resources that you're giving up, it's nothing for the type of player that you're getting back. So absolutely, this is going to be looked at as the Albert Rusnak to Seattle. This is going to be looked at as some of those big domestic transferences in league history. And if it works out the way I think it's going to work out, then yeah, absolutely, give Chris Henderson the keys to being one of the best in the business already. I mean, it took him 3 years to finally get there, but finally he's getting that responsibility, and he's coming up through for the team.
Miami right now 3 points out of a playoff spot in the crazy East, which we will anticipate it will continue to be crazy all the way down to the end of things in Major League Soccer this season. Mentioned Jesse Lingard possibly coming over. Two teams are apparently interested in Jesse Lingard, as are West Ham and Everton. West Ham definitely wants to have Jesse Lingard stay. It was 9 goals, I think, in 16 matches last year when he was on loan. Where do you think Lingard could fit? Any idea on that one?
I have no idea, man. I would love to say it. I mean, I really have been on it for quite some time, and just kind of try to figure it out. I knew that ALFC wasn't quite a fit, and I think it's been reported by quite a few people that that's not the case. They obviously are the it team at the moment in terms of European coverage and all this. So I kind of thought it'd be them. There was a part of me that thought maybe the Philadelphia Union, but it's the Philadelphia Union.
Mm.
So in terms of fitting, yes, but it just doesn't have Philadelphia written anywhere on it. But it's a groundbreaking move for a 29-year-old. That I love to say that. I mean, I'm caught up on the age thing, just simply because that's what I want to see. That's the type of players I want to continue to bring into this league. Um, and looking around the rest of the MLS in a general sense. If I could see him going anywhere else, initially maybe I was thinking um, other than Philadelphia, which, like I said, I think is a fit. They got a DP. I was maybe thinking Nashville. But once again, he just doesn't have it written all over him. So I really have no idea where he is gonna go. Um, but if it does happen, I think it'd be amazing.
NYC possibly as a Tati Castellanos replacement?
I wanted to say it, but no. There's so many attacking midfielders. Like once again, yes, this has New York City FC written all over it, right? Because of the connections and all of that. But another midfielder, another attacking midfielder, another winger. How many more can you have?
11 billion. All of the midfielders, all of the finest meats and cheeses, and all of the attacking midfielders go to NYCFC.
It really does seem that way, and um, quite honestly, right? I mean, he'd be a guy that would fit up just about anywhere in this league, but I just don't see it, right? Maybe like a DC United, right? It would make sense that they've had players of that caliber before. Manchester United guy, perhaps. Um, that could be another good one. New York, the New England Revolution is another place where I initially thought that it could happen. There's so many options, but
And
the,
they
the
picked up
DP,
from Juve, yeah.
the money, that's where I'm kind of not finding it for him. Um, so yeah, it's great to see him here. I still have my doubts that he'll land here. To be quite honest, if I'm going to be frank with you, when I'm reading the news, when I'm kind of going over the facts, um, it could very well be a situation in which you're trying to rise up your price. You know that MLS teams are serious and they're there for the money. European teams know that. So if I'm trying to raise my price a little bit more and maybe I want to use a little bit of leverage,
Oh yeah.
then I'm gonna come here and I'm gonna be seen and I'm gonna, I'm possibly interested, and I'm hearing, Mama said not wrong with talking. So we're gonna talk and I'm gonna hear people out. But at the end of the day, maybe he's gonna end up um in Europe at the end of the day. Because, like I said, honestly, I haven't really found a team that I know has the DP spot, that has the willingness to put the money where their mouth is, and bring in a player of that caliber at the exact same time. Oh, and you always got to look at, right, a 29-year-old player that's European. Where does he want to live? Like, I'm not honestly. That's one of the things that I look at whenever I'm trying to find a team to a player, or whenever I get a call about a potential transfer. I want to see if it's a high profile player. I'm gonna make sure that I know that he's gonna go to X, Y, or C, because it's rarely that he's not gonna go to Cincinnati. You just don't see it, or certain teams you just don't see certain players going to. So I haven't found one that I completely find a fit in terms of positioning, in terms of money wise, and then uh, city life.
What's it like now to have Major League Soccer as a part of the discussion openly for players who are in Europe? It's like, no, MLS is interested in me to try to possibly jazz up more interest and get what you're really looking for. If you're a European soccer player Now that you're dropping MLS as a part of your discussion, what does that mean to you to have MLS now being mentioned? It's like, yeah, it's, I'm playing here in the Premier League. I'm out on a free. Traditionally, it would be, well, this is the Premier League, or it's La Liga, or it's Serie A, or, one of the heavyweights, the Bundesliga. But now you're having Major League Soccer mentioned as a part of this discussion. What does that mean to you?
Honestly, it means a lot. As someone who has been, um, called a bit of ambassador for the league in the Spanish language world, someone who has seen the growth from 2015 to, and that's when I really got involved in the transfer game, and I started reaching out to presidents, from Marsella to uh, Everton and Sevilla. I mean, I've talked to a lot of people around the world, and not just South America, because in South America, I've been all over, and I've talked to all kinds of sporting directors and owners, and just seeing that growth about the respect in which you talk about the league, and seeing the reflection of that with the moves that are currently happening, with the type of media and marketing and involvement globally that you're getting now, it means a lot to me. It just tells you that whenever people laughed at when I said the United States and MLS is going to be the biggest stage and the biggest showcase for players in America, is beginning to be a reality. It is clear that beyond Liga MX and the Argentine League, which is still very highly rated, um, if you are looking to find a trampoline into Europe, and a stepping stone, or if you want to recreate your career at a high level soccer league with all of this intangibles from a marketing standpoint to a lifestyle place, that you come to MLS. So I think it's amazing that now you're not just getting those young South American players, and you're not just getting, which for me at the time was the objective, the goal line is, you want to become a bit of what you saw at one point with the Portuguese league, with the Portos and all of that, that would just get all this talent from South America and they would move them across Europe. But now you're becoming self-sustainable to players that, are 29, 26, 27, that are still in their prime, that they still want to play, but they want to go to a place where they're recognized globally. So I think that the league is hitting in every single point that at one point I thought that they would get to. So it's just amazing, and kudos to every single owner in MLS, and the commissioner and everything that they've been doing to get where they are right now, because it's happening, man. It's happening. This league is becoming exactly what you thought it was going to be, and it's amazing.
But at the same time, and let me play devil's advocate here for a little bit, especially when it comes to officiating and discipline and the inequality or iniquity, depending on pronunciation and usage of the word, when it comes to administering fouls, administering penalties, administering discipline. This past week, Douglas Costa got 1+1. Eric Holt, in a situation where he basically just elbows Bebe Reynoso in the back of the head, and nothing is called in the match. I mean, literally, it was an elbow, and Holt just came in and he pops Reynoso from behind. Nothing in match, and Disco comes in from behind and suspends Holt and gives him a fine 4 days after the fact, or however many it was from whenever the event happened. You have those artists, and it's the term that I use when you have a lot of players, especially South American players, who are artists who don't seem to get the same kind of respect that they would in other places. And I think that it could end up being a detriment over time, where if you have players come in and they're constantly fouled and they're not allowed to show the artistry that is within them, that it could be a detriment if they go home, because if there are players that are around them, hey, yeah, Major League Soccer is this team here, Team X is kicking the tires on me. And you have a player sit there and say, well, when I was there, this happened to me, and I wasn't treated with the artistic respect that I thought I deserved. It could be a stumbling block going forward, at least in my perspective. It could be something that could hold some of those truly younger, talented players back, because their reps and their teams will sit there and go, well, last time we saw player X, he's getting chopped down at every opportunity, and he ends up getting a fine for simulation, when in fact it was the absolute opposite, and he's getting fouls called here. I mean, it's something that I think that you have to look out for. And when the disciplinary committee also will sit there and they'll have a news dump at 6 o'clock after the local news is over and after everybody's cleared out of the office, that doesn't bode well for you either. It's something I think that's got to be addressed with more consistency.
100%. And I think you have a fantastic point. And that's another stigma that we need to get rid of. We've gotten rid of the stigma of this is the retirement league. We've gotten over the stigma that you can come here and smoke a cigar as you play soccer and you're still going to be successful. Now it's time to get away from these types of uh, things, because you are looking like there's so many inconsistencies in your refereeing. I mean, we had the situation with St. Clair, which I told you was a soft one,
Yep.
but that I agree because I understood the importance behind protecting the goalkeeper. In this Babello situation, who, yes, is a player that a lot of times embellishes, and that, as you know, referees talk. And players get certain reputations. But there's no doubt in my mind that in this one, he was purposely and almost,
Oh, he was lined up.
yeah, no, absolutely. It's not just the hit, but it's the intent behind them to really hurt the player. Um, there is no reason why the elbow should go there. The ball is coming down right in front of Babello. So this is a direct red card for me. The
Mm-hmm.
fact that he was looked over in VAR and nobody in the referee's ear or his perception on the play is just crazy to me. And then you go back and you suspend the player and you admit that you're wrong. So these are things that need to get better. Because we're not protecting the players. Two, we're as a league, you are looking with inconsistencies of your refereeing, and now when you try to fix it and say, hey, this is what we're trying to do, then you are condemning that referee. And I hope that there is some sort of implications for him as a referee for missing a clear red card on this one. So yes, I totally agree. I think that things have to be done differently, and referees need to be held accountable for this type of situation. There's no doubt in my mind that this was a red card.
And so we'll keep an eye on future assignments for Remy Touchon, who was center ref in that match, and for Soren Stoichka, who was VAR in that match. So we'll keep an eye on that as well when it comes to their futures. Since Niko Moreno is here from our friends at Pulso Sports, El Rolo and W on the Twitters, it is that time, Niko, where we get to play Soccer Down Here's favorite weekly game. It is SDH Cliffhanger with you when we talk about the matchups coming up this weekend. We actually have some
Good ones.
We got Friday Night Football here, and it's El Trafico. We got Philly and DC. I'm skipping that one because that one could be ugly. Although Tuxi Fontas has done some amazing things to help DC's offense recently. We have El Trafico, 10 o'clock, Friday night Eastern time, so 7 o'clock out there on the West Coast. What are you looking at here in this version of El Trafico with LAFC and LAG?
Well, first of all, where is the LA Galaxy? Are we going to get the LA Galaxy that completely dismantled Montreal, a very good team? They were up forward. They exploited the wings. Javier Hernandez, I thought had a very good game in general sense. I'm not talking the early goal. I'm just talking movement, build up. I'm talking his new relationship with Jovic. I really like that overall. Association with him. So in all general sense, I want to see which LA Galaxy we're going to get on this one. I want to see the intensity behind the game. An LAFC squad that right now has absolutely all of the reflectors on their side, and the LA Galaxy love that. They absolutely love when they can spoil the party for LAFC. So I'm just excited to watch. Are we going to see Giorgio Cellino in this one, at least for a little bit? We've seen him, he being a coachable guy and being a mentor to all his players. So, what can we see out of this super LAFC in a situation in which everybody's going to expect them to win hard, to show their star power, and LA Galaxy team that very quietly could spoil that party. So I think Raheem Edwards is going to be a key component in this one for the LA Galaxy. Same as Araujo on the other side. Araujo has looked dangerous, has been a very good player in terms of services into the box, and you're going to need a lot of that on this one. So I think momentum wise, the LA Galaxy are coming in a very good moment. And I'm just excited to see it because when you have top of the team, all of the stars, they're also coming in from a good win, like you did against Dallas, and you have an LA Galaxy team that wants to spoil the party. It just leaves for some good soccer. So I'm just excited to see it.
Vancouver and Minnesota wrap up Friday Night Football. On Saturday, it is.
It's a good one. I'm excited for that one. That Vancouver is on a come up. They're a team that can be excited when they want to be. Minnesota, despite their inconsistencies, it's always a team that once they get forward, they can do a lot of damage with the ball. I thought that the win against Real Salt Lake was a big one because of who Real Salt Lake is, how they've been playing, the way uh, uh, Pablo Ruiz handles that midfield. And I really enjoyed what Fragapane and Reynoso did in this one. I want to see a little bit more from Amarilla. He's starting to become that player that perhaps they thought he could be 4 years ago or so. And that gives Minnesota a different sense of clinical abilities that you don't have in the past in that final third. So I think this is going to be an exciting game. I'm excited to see both games.
So naturally, of course, Minnesota loses 3 in a row. They re-sign Adrian Heath, or they announce finally the contract extension. And then when, of course, everybody sits there and goes, and we're questioning the contract extension, they've won 2 in a row. So that makes perfect sense. Welcome to life with Minnesota. On the 9th, on your Saturday, very, very busy. It's 11 matches on your Saturday because there's stuff in the following midweek where you end up with more and more rivalries on Tuesday, Wednesday. It is NYC and the Revs.
I like that one.
I mean, that's
We got a lot of games going on, so we're going to be doing a lot of stopping on this.
NYC and the Revs. NYC right now is a minus 156, a big favorite at home.
Ooh, really?
Mm-hmm.
You know what? I wouldn't mind taking those juice boxes. Because yes, we have established, or at least I have, that I have my doubts about New York City FC despite talent. And the Revs, they're kind of starting to put things together on their own. Um, so New York
Plus
City
305. Your draws a plus 305, and the Revs are a plus 386 to win outright right now.
just to win outright.
Yeah, plus 386. The Revs to win outright. That's a big number.
That is a huge number. New York is, they haven't won, I think, in 4 games in a row, if I'm not mistaken. They ended up drawing. Wow, that's a good one. I'm just interested to see in the soccer wise, but now that I see the juice boxes, I might have to make a trip to Auburn. It's an interesting one. You know what? I like it. There's always a bit of a sense of a rivalry that's underlined between both of these teams. Bruce is a guy that wants to play against the best, and he is on his game whenever he plays a big name as the New York City FC are. Um, because of my doubts with New York City FC, I think the refs could win this one particularly and make it really uncomfortable for a New York City FC that's going to have to figure it out because that would be 5 games without a win, and you need to start seeing results. So I'm excited for this one. That's a good one.
Cascadia is at 4:30 Eastern time. Seattle and Portland. Sounders right now at a -118. Your draw is a +277. Portland, who's been hot recently, is a +294. What do you think?
This is a tough one because Seattle generally at home struggled with Portland. It's an odd stat for Brian Smetzer, who has been as successful as he has been. Actually, the road record for the Seattle is better than it is at home. That said, I do think that having Raul Ruiz back, Brian Smetzer admitted that the Peruvian will be back for this one, and he will not just be back, but he will actually be a starter. That gives Seattle a component that you can undersee. This team is always had a winning record whenever Nicolas Odero and Raul Ruiz are on the field together. So that's a huge component for Seattle. That's a tough one. I'm still taking Seattle on this one. I really am. But I think it's going to be a little bit of a grindy, slow, disruptive. Diego Chara, as always, is good for a yellow card. I think that who's going to be the guy for Seattle in this one, in terms of having that level of leadership, and if thing gets nasty, who's going to be that guy? I think going to have to be Christian Roldan. I think Christian's going to have to emulate a little bit of that Aussie mentality, a little bit of the Joe Paulo, because they don't have it at the moment in time. So it's going to be a good one, but I think it's going to be a really close one, perhaps a 1-0 win for Seattle in this one.
Atlanta United's got Austin FC. Austin FC 6-2, and I think they've won 6 of their 9 or 10 games on the road this year. Austin's a team that will drive themselves crazy, drive you crazy if you're watching, and they do. Right now, they've got more wins on the road than they do at home. Heading to take on Atlanta United, who got to have they get to have all of their DPs on the field for the first time this season. Last time out against NYCFC. So this one could have a lot of firepower attached. Atlanta United's the home favorite at a -119.
That's Austin is one of the toughest teams to really try to predict. And I think Atlanta, regardless of their moment, I think they have gotten a couple of moral wins. It's gonna be a good. If I have to put some money in the juice box, I say it's gonna be a draw. To be quite frank, but I think this is an exciting game. I'm trying to see if I'll be able to even watch this one with everything that we got going on. I'm gonna have to watch that in a replay. But that's a very interesting game as well.
Your 90-minute draw is a +300 right now with Atlanta and Austin. Also, 7 o'clock Charlotte, Nashville Eastern time, 7:30. CF Montreal, soon to be Impact, hopefully, possibly, perhaps, maybe, going up against Sporting Kansas City. Mm-hmm. FC Cincinnati hosting Red Bulls. Toronto FC hosting San Jose. Chicago hosting Columbus Crew. You have rivalries at 8 o'clock Eastern, Orlando City and Inter Miami. Phil Neville he was asked about the talent acquisition on the front office led by Chris Henderson. Quote, "We're not playing FIFA 22 anymore. We're actually going through a process," end quote, to sign players. So Orlando City and Inter Miami. That one's going to be fun. Copa Tejas at 8:30. Houston and Dallas. 10 o'clock Eastern, RSL and Colorado. That one will be interesting for a bunch of different reasons.
Well, let's start with Orlando, Miami.
Okay.
I like that one in terms of the rivalry aspect. What we have seen out of Inter Miami, I think Papi Oscar Pereja against a very fiery Neville should be fun. I enjoy what I've seen out of Orlando City, despite their last game where they were a little bit underwhelming to my standards. Um, and I'm excited to see what Inter Miami can do with a little bit of momentum on their side. Um, you could see Neville just lowered expectations and very smart to do so in how he's approaching the game. But this is going to be an interesting one for sure. I think Pedro Gallese and this Orlando team have a lot of qualities to put themselves above and beyond where they're currently at in the standings, but they just haven't really put it together. And that big powerhouse nine it's still not there, and we still haven't been able to see it. And I think that's where they've been lacking, despite Facundo Torres and other players trying to emulate a little bit of that ability to score and do other things. But I think this is going to be a good one. I like this Orlando City and Miami game.
And then Copa Tejas, Houston hosting FC Dallas. Once again, in these rivalries, it is literally going to be grindy, like you said with Seattle and Portland, like Cascadia to me. Copa Tejas, as Houston continues to invest, and I can't wait for Ache to be a part of this one now as well. I think that Copa Tejas, it's going to be just as grindy as Cascadia, frankly.
Yeah, the thing about it is Houston's inconsistency, right? I think they've lost 8 or 7 of their last 10, 11 matches. They have individual talent, but you're still missing that X factor on the field, in my opinion. I like what I see from Ferreira. I like what I see from the team. Maybe Ache will be that guy that's going to kind of put it all together. But because of Dallas's kind of dominance and advantage on the roster, I'm not as excited as I am for this one. Perhaps it could be a turning point for Houston and they could use it in that manner. So yeah, no, I am with you. I think Ache is a player that you're starting to get excited for, and I'm kind of hoping that can he play for this one? I think he can play this one. Can he?
I think he can because we cleared the date. We've cleared the date, meaning today, as we're talking.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's a matter of getting in, getting healthy, and getting locked in.
Bring him in. I would bring him in just to get the team fired up about this one. You're getting heated.
Yeah, I mean, you give him a cameo in the second half, and the crowd goes nuts. I mean, promote the fact that hey, he's here. He'll be in the 18. He'll be sitting there, and then you wonder what's going on, and when is he coming in? I think that it'll add a really interesting dynamic to it when it comes to Houston. Houston, as they continue to grow into the team with the new ownership, and then as they try to work their way up the standings in the West, they've lost 7 of their last 10. 3 wins, 7 losses in their last 10, no draws. So it's either one way or the other, and it's been a lot of the other recently for Houston, as you brought that up. RSL and Colorado. Colorado, last time out against Austin, had a lead, lost it, drove folks crazy, and continue to do so. And they get to go to Rio Tinto, a very, very tough place to play as your late night game on Saturday night.
Yeah, that's a good one. I've told you how high I've been on RSL and that identity that has them at the top of the West. Colorado, they're a very deserving team that can give you a lot of good games, but because of another consistency issue, sometimes you don't know what you're going to get out of them. And I'm surprised I haven't heard more from Colorado this offseason, and I'm still looking for what they're going to be able to do, because there's no way this is going to pass them by and they're not going to get more talent for this squad, or maybe they are. I mean, Colorado can be that team, and Frazier is a guy that it's okay to just play with what he has. But the Rapids have lost what, 3 of their last 4 matches. They haven't looked as good as perhaps they did early in the season. I don't know what happened to Diego Rubio. Somebody better put his name on a milk carton or something, because he just has not been it. I don't know what changed within the team in general. To be quite frank, I didn't watch their last game, but I do know that this is RSL team at home, with the players that they have. I think that they should take this one no problem.
All right, time for the promo. What's going on at Pulso Sports, and what are you up to these days?
Pulso Sports, we actually don't have anything in the books for Pulso Sports in this upcoming week, but I am definitely hoping to do a couple of live feeds from the stadium this upcoming game, right? It's the Derby. It's been a while since I have done a fan experience side of it. So that's what we got coming up. We're going to be doing some videos with the fans, the march. I'm going to do quite a few live streams from both our YouTube channel and our social media. And what I mean by we don't have anything in the books is because I'm alone. We got a couple of the guys who left to Peru, so I'm going to be a one-man show, and that's what I'm planning to do with it. I want to give a lot of our audience a look at what this derby is prior to the game, during the game. So that's basically what you're going to get here from Pulso over this weekend.
Another round of Thursdays with Niko as he nurses his first cup of coffee. El Rolo NW on the Twitters, at Pulso Sports also as well on the Twitters and all your social media. Niko, as always, great to catch up with you, my friend. Good that we could go a little philosophical in addition to playing weekly cliffhanger. We will catch up with you next week, my friend.
All righty, my friend. Have a good one.